So I've been in dental school for over a year and a half now, and sometimes I ask myself, was dental school a mistake? I was already in another career in another profession before I started dental school, and I really don't think this profession is for everybody. Let's talk about it, guys. Now, some dental students would never purse their lips to say, I think dental school was a mistake, or I never thought that this was going to be uh, a mistake, or I never thought that, dental school was not what I always thought it was going to be, or I never even considered that dental school could have potentially been a mistake for me to go into. And I can honestly say that if you're a dental student or if you talk to a dental student and they've never questioned whether or not going to dental school was a good idea, I don't think they're telling the truth. And I say that because most of us are taking out $400,000 plus in debt to go to dental school, number one. And I don't know about you all, but regardless of the profession, if I were taking out that much money to go to school, yeah, there would definitely be times where I'm thinking, is this something that's worth it? Did I make a mistake in going into this? Because it's a large investment. And it's not just you investing money into this, but you're investing a lot of your time. A lot of us in dental school are in our 20s, some of us are in our 30s, and many of us have goals and aspirations outside of dental school. You want to have families, you want to have kids, you want to get married, and all these different things. And I'll speak for myself, but sometimes I feel like dental school is kind of like putting a lot of those things on pause. And it shouldn't, because again, your life is in your control. But our society sometimes makes you feel like you can't do certain things while you're in certain programs, or while you're studying to get a master's or a doctoral degree, or whatever the case may be. So it may cause you to think that this career may be a mistake. When you're staying up late and you're studying for those exams and you have 3 or 4 exams a week, then yeah, you may be thinking, this might not be for me. This might be a mistake. And I feel like we all get to that point at some point in our career, in terms of being a student, or maybe even after school, where you're like, I don't know if I made the best decision. But one thing I will say though, is when those ideas do pop up, the thought process behind whether or not we made the right decision really comes down to our previous experiences. And I hate to sound cliche, but really your reason why you're going into this profession. Now, do I think dentistry is for everybody? Absolutely not. If you're not comfortable with someone relying on you, you having to be precise to do things, you having to follow a process, you having to know a lot in regard to social behaviors, in regard to medicine, in regard to people, like interacting with people and speaking with people, it's going to be very difficult for you to stick with a profession that is really personalized and that's really engaging. And for a lot of times, for a lot of people, you have to be always on the go. Like, you always have to be thinking about a million and one things at one time. You have a patient, they have this medication, they have that medication. You got to know what type of interactions to expect, how you need to modify your treatment plan, what are you going to do, what other options you can have, and all these different things that you definitely need to make sure that you're checking off, not only for your sake, but more importantly for the patient's sake, and that you're providing them with the best aspect of care. And for most people, thinking about all those things can cause you to be very anxious. But I've found that when I think about my time in dental school so far, even though there are a lot of times where I feel overwhelmed, there are times where I feel stressed out, the people who you're around and the opportunities and experiences that you have and the perspective that you have around them really do make the difference when you're considering how you're going to get over that hump of thinking that this might have been a mistake. Now, do I think dental school was a mistake? Absolutely not. There's absolutely nothing else I'd rather be doing than being in dental school right now with my time. And I say that because I am getting more and more of a sense of learning a profession that not only will benefit me and my future family, but will also benefit the patients and the people who I am going to impact. I had a dinner the other day with some of my extended family members, and I was sitting at a table with a lot of my great aunts and great uncles. And they were just so fascinated because they were asking my girlfriend and I so many questions. He's a PT student at the PT school. And they were asking me about dentures, and they were asking me about RPDs, and they were asking me about implants and all these different questions. And not only was I shocked that they were, really intrigued and we talked for hours, but I was shocked about how much I knew and how much I was telling them, because things were just popping up that I remembered from my courses, and I remember studying, and I was telling them about this specific study that I read and all these different things. And although I didn't know an answer, or I didn't have an answer to everything, before I started dental school, I didn't know nearly as much as how much I know now. So although there are times when I'm thinking like, okay, I don't really know much and there's a lot that I still need to learn and I don't feel equipped to really be helping patients, there's also a lot that I do know. And I use that aspect of a lot of things that I do know to reinforce or motivate myself to say, you know what? Yeah, this is definitely something that you can do, because within a year and a half, you learn so much and you're able to see that growth, that now all I have to do is just continue to do that. And I know that I will be able to better not only my life and my skills in this profession, but also the people who I encounter in the future. So when I think about those times where I may consider dental school maybe potentially being a mistake because something is difficult or something is hard, I quickly change my perspective, because I understand my reason why for going into this profession. And I understand that, yeah, whatever you do in life, there are going to be ups and downs, there are going to be difficulties, there's going to be hardships. And I'm very, very comfortable at this point in my life with being excited and extremely comfortable in those uncomfortable moments and in those difficult times, to where I understand that, yeah, there's definitely going to be some aspect of difficulty, but I'm going to be able to overcome it because I've done it so many times before. And I know that when I do, there's always something that's greater, there's always something that's better over that horizon. So with that being said, you all, if you're thinking about going into this profession, you really want to ask yourself, what am I going to do when this question pops in my mind? Was this a mistake? And when you ask yourself, was this a mistake, you want to think about, what is your reason for going into dentistry? And what can you rely on? What experiences can you rely on to serve as proof that you are more than capable of doing this? And once you do that and you push everything else aside, I believe that you'll get a truthful answer, and you'll be able to tell yourself, yeah, this is definitely something that's worth it. This is worth the $400,000 in debt. This is worth the X amount of years that it took me to get into dental school, and the X amount of years that it will take me to get through dental school. And it's definitely worth the time and the experiences that I'm having on a daily basis to better myself and to better my community and my people, or your people that you're working with in your profession, guys. So with that being said, I thank you all so much for joining me along on this video. If you all have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to comment them below. If you're a current dental student, or if you're a dental graduate, or if you're a dentist, and this idea or this thought has ever popped in your mind, please let us know in the comments. What do you do when that idea comes up into your mind? What will you do when you ask yourself, was this a mistake? And what are some things that continue to keep you going when you feel like the profession that you entered was a mistake? So with that being said, you all, thank you so much again for your time. I hope that someone found this video valuable, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.